This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in the Triple Option. We are welcoming a new sponsor to the show today, 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit from Vail, Colorado. I will drop a link in the chat here shortly for you if you'd like to go order some. And we will be, unfortunate for Pierre Noujaim of Fox 9 Minneapolis, he will not get to sample any of this today because he is not here. He's in his house, in his apartment in Minneapolis. So Pierre, welcome to the show. I'm sorry that you won't get to do this, but the good news for you is we get to play a game at the end of the show where you will see how long it takes me to drink some of this today.
It's going to be probably my new favorite game every week. As I'm looking outside, there's snow on the ground. The highs will start to be in the 20s starting next week. So I could use a bottle of that to keep myself warm as the temperatures continue to drop.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do for you, buddy. But yes, Rocky Mountain. This is the bourbon. They also do rye and single malts, and there's moonshine, which I'm definitely going to try. Now that I'm married to a woman whose family lives in Tennessee, I quite often get moonshine.
I've had it once before, and it was pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good.
So we had to make a liquor store run a couple of Christmases ago, and it was hilarious because her friend said, "Hey, you need to try this." I guess it was Old Smoky because they'd been to that distillery. Just get a couple of the different flavors and try them, So I'm just riding in the backseat of the car. I decided to get some moonshine and down it. And because I always thought it's moonshine. You gotta let it, go.
Yeah.
Right. You can't, it's not for sipping.
One stop shop.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it was meant to be drank. 100%.
Yeah. I told her you're going to have to maybe drive around the block a couple times because Amanda and I aren't married yet. And I don't want to walk in this schnockered if her parents are still awake.
Yeah. That's good thinking on your part. No doubt about it.
Yeah. No. And again, I don't think they would judge, but it was their daughter's fault. She's like, yeah, try it. You'll like it. And listen, yeah, I did. And I can't wait. And I can't change.
Bad influence. She's the bad influence on you. You're not the problem.
Yeah. And I can't wait to try later in the show, this bourbon. Even though I do have another show to do today, we're going to have some of this. We're going to test it out. Jack's excited. Jack's going to sample it as well.
Yes, definitely. And who knows? We might need it to make it through that show.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen on any given day here. Pierre, I did want to say this beforehand. You and I have talked long about being on The Amazing Race together.
Yes, we have. Yes.
I actually think Amanda and I have been going back and watching old seasons, right, to study up. So one of the big things is because I'm a fat shit, I need to get back in shape. So I've been going over things I need to work on so that you and I can compete in the race. Okay. And I need to find a rock climbing wall.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to maybe learn how to shovel things maybe a little bit better, move dirt. There's a lot of things that they do.
You're more than welcome to come and practice shoveling snow up here. You're going to get plenty of opportunity in the next handful of months.
Yeah, maybe before, when we get picked, we'll have some time.
Yeah,
and I'll just come up there for a couple of weeks and shovel snow.
I feel like we have a Rocky montage planned for you. Getting ready for the Amazing Race. This screams montage.
Oh, it absolutely screams montage. It absolutely screams montage. And I think just judging on what we do, they would maybe pick us because we have a podcast together.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, mine would be in terms of what I need to work on. I have a horrendous short-term memory. You could tell me your name and your date of birth and your social security number right then and there, and I could not repeat it to you at all. the memory.
That's why you got fired from that identity theft ring.
Yeah, I took my hand a little too early, I would say. But yeah, in terms of like, you see a lot of those challenges where they put like maybe two paintings side by side, and it's like, what's the difference between the two of them? There's subtle differences. That's where I would definitely fall short, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where I'm, that's what I'm worried about. I want to make sure we do that. Like, distance running is important. You got to have some endurance. You got to build that up. Yeah, for sure. You can't.
I'm currently doing that, by the way. I've decided that, since my cholesterol numbers are less than ideal, according to said doctors who have seen me over the last couple of years, I said, if you don't get the cardio in, you are going to die. So that's probably that's been my biggest motivation so far.
Eating a lot of oatmeal, are you?
No, I will not stoop that low. That is vomit on a plate, and I will not eat that.
Look, I'll tell you, you just got to look online. There's lots of good overnight recipes. You cook it in a crock pot. Here you get some oatmeal, Pierre. You get some nice apples, whatever your favorite kind are, Pink Ladies, Granny Smiths, Honey Crisps.
Fuji's. I would go with Fuji's.
You like Fuji? Yes. You slice up your apples. You put your oatmeal in the water, whatever you need to, cook it in. Some people cook it in milk. Sure. You can throw in like vanilla protein powder, like some other things. This is back from my fitness days. You throw that in, little cinnamon, boom.
And that's the trick.
That's the trick. Your house will smell great. It'll smell like apple cinnamon.
And it's the perfect time of year for that too.
It's like a candle you can eat. And then
I might give it another try, but I just remember the texture of it
Yeah, you gotta do some fun stuff with it.
Yeah.
You gotta do some fun stuff with it.
Look,
here's the thing. I found out there's a lot of people online that like have these great recipes. Apparently, I watch Instagram. You can make anything out of cottage cheese now.
Really?
You can make queso. You can make ice cream. You can make bacon, maybe. I don't know. But you can make anything out of cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese, and I'm a cottage cheese fan. It's good.
I am too.
I like cottage cheese.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get there. We'll get lean and healthy by eating oatmeal and cottage cheese and shoveling snow and climbing rock walls. The thing I'm scared of is because I know what both of our strengths are, even at our strongest. I think they're going to have like a climbing thing, and we're going to be like, oh man, we better have the express pass. Like that's.
Yes. Yeah. We will be shooting for the express pass every single leg if we can. Oh, absolutely. That is what we're going to be doing.
So I think the advantage, you and I have never had an argument ever. No. And we are of like mind on things.
Yes.
That is our advantage, and that's how we win the amazing race, is that we won't argue. We'll also take 5 extra seconds to read the whole clue.
No, my number one pet peeve on the show. People do not read the clue in its entirety, and they get themselves in trouble. And I said, it's right in front of your face. Read the whole clue. And on top of it, to the point you just mentioned in terms of us never arguing before, this is why I watched the show, why I got into it in the first place. To see two people, or maybe sometimes 4, depending on the season, who claim and say that they love each other, how they treat each other under duress. That is the number one reason for me watching the show. You see 2 people who claim to love each other, but when one's walking a little slower than the other, or one didn't get their bag, or one forgot an item at the checkpoint, oh boy, it's interesting to see who treats who and how under these very strenuous circumstances.
Yes. So you and I, here's the thing. We could take a minute and sometimes they get in such a rush that you're like, you're not going to lose this by 10 seconds right now.
Right.
There's still, there are still 3, you're just at the first thing of the day.
Right.
There's not going to be just this one thing and then nothing.
And the misconception I think that the viewers have on that show is the contestants, even though they know they're behind, they probably they generally, for the most part, you can tell, have a really good idea of where they are in the standings too. It's not because you're watching it all edited and you're probably thinking they don't know so-and-so has already taken off. They typically seem to have a good idea of where they are. So knowing that, between me and you, we don't have to rush. There's no need to rush.
Mm-hmm. No, There's not. There's absolutely no need to rush. We'll be fine. So let's rush right into our first topic. You're in the heart of Big Ten country. There's a massive Big Ten game this week.
There is.
One that has inspired some takes across the college football world. I don't know if you saw Joey Galloway's on this. Ohio State alum Joey Galloway said that Indiana should just sit Curtis Rourke so he doesn't get hurt against the Buckeyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if they'll be their only loss, they'll get in the playoff anyway.
There's the spirit of competition we love.
Yeah. It is. It's all part of this, like, look, congratulations, you're doing so well, but you haven't played anybody yet, which Indiana really hasn't, understandably.
I think that's fair.
I don't think Indiana or Kurt Cignetti's going out there going, oh, yeah, we beat Purdue.
Yeah.
All right. Have you guys done that? No, they're not even on your schedule.
No, exactly. Exactly right. No, exactly.
No, they're not doing that. They're just going to go, again, like it should be proven out on the field. So let's see what happens Saturday. Now, look, it's going to be very hard, but Ohio State has some really key injuries, including their center and, all of that. What is your feeling on this game? And look, the way that Indiana plays offense, I know they won't probably score 50 points like they have a few times this year, but I do think that they can easily score, 24 to 30 to 34 points on Ohio State.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. And in a sense, I would think this kind of has the feeling of the first to 30 is going to win the game in a little way. And even though I know that Ohio State can win this game via defensive battle, and it could end up being like 28-13 for all I know. If this game was in Indiana, this is where I wish the tables were turned. I wish this game was in Indiana because that crowd would be absolutely over the top, obnoxious, and just if you're wearing scarlet red out there, you would just be hammered by the time kickoff rolls around and yelling at the top of your lungs the moment the ball is in the air. So, granted that the game is in Columbus, and I know this has the feel of, I don't even want to go as far as to say big brother, little brother, because Indiana has never been pretty much anything in this conference. They're
not even a cousin.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's not even that type of relationship. But I do think that Indiana, you have to be. I would think that Kurt Cignetti is sitting there in his office thinking to himself, "Yeah, we're 10-0. Yeah, we don't listen to the outside noise of what people say to us, but we kind of have a little something to prove here." And then we get into the whole talk of, and I can't stand this kind of conversation. We get into the whole conversation of, if Indiana loses, how bad do they need to lose to really kind of knock themselves out of the top 12 conversation? Or what's the definition of a good loss? To which, I can't stand. You lose by 1 or 100, the result is the same. It doesn't matter to me. I understand the viewpoint from it when you're trying to put 12 teams in a playoff and who you're going to include and who you're going to exclude depending on strength of schedule is a part of it. I understand it. But to me, if you're Indiana, you're going in there with something to prove. And if you want to show that you belong in the top 12, here's your opportunity, especially in the first half. Don't let the game get away from you in the first half. If you can come out and try to punch them in the mouth early, have at it. I mean, you're the team with something to prove here, in my opinion.
There are a lot of talking heads and people out there that they just don't want to see upsets. They just want, they don't want the local burger place to do well. Like if Paul and Pierre's Burger Shack opened up in Minneapolis, they're the kind of people who'd be like, look, man, there's a McDonald's right there. What are you even doing?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we're not trying to compete with McDonald's. We're just trying to make burgers and fries and, maybe chicken fingers on Wednesdays. I don't know what we're doing, but we're just, we feel like we're good at this. And we're going to do that. But they're like, well, you shouldn't try because there's a McDonald's. Like, okay, yes. Indiana is your local haunt that's unique and nobody's heard of. And you forgot about it. Look, Ohio State's McDonald's. If Ohio State loses the game, guess what? They're still going to have, 50 billion served. There's still going to be franchises all over the place. Doesn't matter. If Indiana wins, it's a win for Kurt Cignetti's Burger Barn. That's all it is. And so And it proves that, maybe there's more parity now than there used to be. Not maybe, there definitely is. And anytime the status quo gets pushed, the status quo is going to try to push back as hard as it can.
Yes.
And I don't foresee, I don't foresee a future where this doesn't change. I think that eventually, with all the talent being spread out, with teams being able to go, look, they can go get NIL from a different place. They can play right away. Like, those kind of things are going to hurt the depth of the Ohio States of the world. So let's just go grip it and rip it out on the field, and let's get it done. And stop worrying about, like, should Curtis Rourke sit? Because, dear God, they have no chance. Like, no, they're good. They have a chance. We have not seen them play a good team this year, and this is their Super Bowl. Yeah. Right now, right before they get to the playoff, this is the thing.
100%.
So let's go. I mean, don't think that they're not going to come out and, be throwing haymakers, because they will.
And I don't understand, like, I hadn't heard what Joey Galloway had said until you just mentioned it. And to me, it's just such an absolute disgrace to even suggest something like that in the spirit of competition. And on top of it, too, let's say for the sake of example that Indiana did sit Curtis Rourke for this game and they get blown out by 40. That could very well be the difference between them making the top 12 and not making it in. If they play with Curtis Rourke and maybe they lose by 10, 14, and the committee looks well upon them, perhaps they competed hard and were down 7 late in the fourth, and then Ohio State scores a touchdown to kind of put the game away with under 3 minutes to play or something like that. That could be the difference between getting in and getting out. So this notion or suggestion that Indiana should sit Curtis Rourke almost to not get him hurt, just to compete for the last game of the regular season and whatever bowl game they end up in, is ludicrous. And it's disappointing, to be perfectly honest. I can't believe that Joey Galloway would suggest something like that.
No, I mean, again, scared money don't make money. And
exactly.
Joey Galloway, he's worried about his alma mater, like he is. I get it. I get it. It's fine. It's okay to be scared. We all get scared, Joey.
Yeah. 100%.
We all get scared, Ohio State. Look, they've lost one game by 1 point to the number one team in the country. They're probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
And again, this is not Ryan Day or anybody saying this. Now, should they lose this game and it puts them behind any kind of SEC 8 ball, believe you me, they will start politicking and being like, look, we lost to the number 5 team and the number 1 team. Don't tell me Ole Miss, who lost to Kentucky, needs to be in this over us.
Yeah. I agree. I agree entirely. I don't see a lot of downside here for Ohio State. Obviously, you want to win the game, but like you just said, if they lose this game and Indiana finishes the regular season as an undefeated team in a Power 5 conference, where's the downside here for Ohio State? Where are they going to be in trouble in terms of getting into the final 12? I don't see it whatsoever.
Yeah, this team, this game honestly means quite little to Ohio State, other than getting in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon to get another shot at them. But they can lose and nothing's going to happen to them. Now, if they lose to Michigan next week, then something's definitely going to happen to them. But you lose 2 in a row going out into that Michigan team that's not very good. Ryan Day's got bigger fish to fry than the playoff potential. It's how much longer can I keep this job before torches and pitchforks come out?
Right.
But the bottom line is, Ohio State loses this game and beats Michigan, they're going to be in the playoff. Yeah. They're going to be in because their 2 losses would be to number 1 and number 5, who would then probably be number 2. So the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country out of their conference are going to play in the title game, and they can just sit back and wait to find out where they're going to wind up going. And they might even wind up at home. And especially, look, I think the real teams that are scared that Indiana can win are not in the Big Ten, because I think Ohio State knows this. The real teams that are scared are outside of it, particularly the SEC trying to get 5 of them in when they really are probably only get 4. But that's really going to push Tennessee is in trouble if Indiana wins. They're not getting in. Yeah. They're not getting in.
And actually, Paul, To your point, I'm sorry to your point, this actually brings up the topic of conversation that I've heard some, not necessarily coaches, but media reports talking about coaches having these type of conversations. That if you don't end up in your conference title game, let's say you're Ohio State and you lose to Indiana and you have 2 losses on the season and you don't make the Big Ten title game, do you feel like you're actually sitting more pretty as Ohio State than Indiana? If Indiana goes on to the Big Ten title game and loses to Oregon and their sole loss is to Oregon in the Big Ten title game, I still think they're going to be fine. I don't think that's the best example. But if you're a team in the SEC with 2 losses and you maybe lose a tiebreaker to a team that's going to go play for the SEC title game and they have 2 losses, for example, if they lose that game, now they have 3 and you're sitting there at 2 and you didn't have to play in a conference championship game, are we punishing the conference runner-up? Does it almost feel like we're punishing the team that actually made it to the title game rather than the number 3 or the number 4 team sitting out on the outside of the title game looking in with only 2 losses? That's a fascinating conversation.
Yeah. Now, look, I don't buy Greg Sankey's thing that getting to the conference title game is reward enough. Like, if you get your 3rd loss in the conference title game, sorry, that costs you the playoff. I mean, there has to be consequences for things, but I do think that, like, if you're 11-1 and you make the conference playoff game, you should probably be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
I agree.
Now, if you're 9-3 and make it, if you're 10-2 and make it, and take a 3rd or a 4th loss in that game, I'm sorry, I don't care what your schedule is. If there's other teams that have less losses and more wins than you, then they're going in.
Yeah.
Because you've got to earn it. Like, just because you might have the better players, like, that's the thing that college football's got to get over in this. Okay, if Georgia winds up with a 3rd loss in the SEC title game, their narrative is going to be like, well, we play in the SEC, it's really hard. Yeah, but you lost. Like, I know you have the best players, but those players lost 3 games.
Right.
So, in the NFL, there's been okay, did the Giants, who beat the 18-0 Patriots at the time, have a better team than the Patriots? No, they did not. That Patriots team was player for player across the board, save for maybe Michael. Like, the only player I would say the Patriots would have traded anything for from that roster to the Giants was Michael Strahan.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Justin Tuck, he was there too. But, like, those are the 2. Everybody else, player for player, best team, 1-53 in Patriots history.
Yeah.
So, but the Giants earned their way there. Heck, they beat a Cowboys team that's probably the best Cowboy team in the last 25 years in the first round. Well, could the Cowboys have said, like, look, we beat them twice this year in the division. We shouldn't have to play them again. Like, we're clearly better. Right. No, go play. Consequences are consequences. And you want more eyeballs? You want more stakes on your thing? You want more money? You want to really show who you are? Have the consequences mean some things, as opposed to giving BYU consequences, SMU consequences, Miami has consequences.
100%.
Indiana, in one of the Super 2 league, they have consequences. But Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, their consequences are less than. Like, it's not like you really have to upset the apple cart for them to have consequences. And Penn State, to me, is the best example of this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, if going back to what you said earlier in terms of the SEC is really hard, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're not factually incorrect about that. I wouldn't argue with you on that. However, if you're Georgia and you finish at 9-3, you kind of, my argument would be, well, yeah, it's hard. And yeah, I understand that, you had a tough schedule, but how come Texas and Texas A&M went 10-2 or 11-1 or 12-0? How come they did it and you didn't? I mean, and I'm sure they probably would point to a non-conference schedule. We'll do the whole non-conference schedule comparisons, and I think there's some validity to it. But that would be my immediate response. I was like, well, then how come 2 teams finish better than you? This is competition, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and plain and simple. Plain and simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Not for 1 second do I buy that, like, hey, the real reward is the friends we made along the way nonsense that Greg Sankey's like, oh, well, it's reward enough. Okay, well, if making the SEC title game is reward enough, making every title game should be reward enough, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, why not? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what? But guess what? You don't have that many spots, do you, Greg? So if you do that, if you apply it evenly to all the conferences, then every team that makes the conference title game is automatically in. So right now it would be Colorado and BYU. They're both in. You know, Ohio State and Oregon, they're both in. The two from your league, they're both in. Well, now, like, we're at 8 already, right? We promised Notre Dame if they were in the top 12 of the final rankings, they'd be in, so they're in. Oh, well, now we got to take that 1G5, so they're in. Oh, we're running out of spots, aren't we there, G-Money?
Yeah.
Aren't we, buddy? So, again, we have to figure out a way in college football to apply even metrics. And to do that. And look, there's something, like, strength of schedule needs to mean something. It absolutely does, but we also need to have a reasonable, year-to-year thing. It doesn't need to be, this is Alabama we're talking about here. No, this is 2024 Alabama. This isn't Bear Bryant, Alabama. This isn't Nick Saban, Alabama. This is Kalen DeBoer's Alabama in 2024. That's what matters.
Maybe we should come up with, a computer that can calculate things, that could maybe spit out statistics that could get us the best teams in college football.
And here's the thing. Somebody ran the BCS numbers through, and the committee is pretty much right on that. Like, it only flipped seeds. It had the same 12 teams in. It only flipped seeds.
So where they rank.
So maybe the committee, I don't have a problem with the 12 teams that are ranked right now, although I would flip SMU and Miami. I think SMU is better. But, all around. But I think the committee keeps forgetting they're in the ACC and not the AAC anymore.
Right, yeah.
But if they actually use that, because I think they do look at it and they go, okay, and then here comes but do we really think? Do we really, that question needs to go. Do we really think?
Yeah.
No. Who's earned it? The only thing is, do we really think this team has earned it? And if there's a 3 behind on their loss record, there better be a 3 on other people's loss records.
Yeah.
Or they're not getting in. In that top 12, there better be multiple 3s. If there's 1s and 2s all over the place, sorry, that third one, that kept you out.
This is the kind of the same type of conversation that I have with people on a regardless of topics, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's whatever, what have you. I don't live in the world of coulda, woulda, shoulda. We don't live in should land. We live in what is. And what is the facts in front of you right now in terms of every single team's resume and what they've done to this point. And even though, like you said, Miami and SMU is a perfect example, it's like, but it's Miami. And yes, SMU is a cute little story. What is? Show me the facts, show me the numbers, show me all the evidence as to why Miami should be in over SMU. And I'm sure we're going to have a lengthy debate about that. And I can't wait for a couple of weeks to go by and we can finally start having these talks about who got in and who didn't.
Yes. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Mack Brown is staying. Earlier this year, he tearfully, seemingly retired in a post-game press conference. And then Monday morning, he's like, no, I was just emotional. And so I think most of the world thought Mack Brown was going to finally hang it up. Yesterday, he says he's staying. Is that good or bad for North Carolina? We talk about that. We'll keep that short because I know what you're all waiting for is our new game, the Sad Sports Game, brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit from Vail, Colorado. I'm going to drop a link in the chat during the break. And Pierre is going to read sad sports facts about the teams that I love. The Cowboys, the Red Sox, and Florida State. He's going to read those sad facts to me. And we're going to see how many facts he can read to me before I have to pour myself a glass of this delicious bourbon from 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit. That is all coming up on the show. This is the Triple Option.
is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in. Here comes that length for 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirits. It's in the chat room right now, so you can go and please, it would mean the world to me if you bought some for a friend of yours or just for yourself, and let me know how it is. Maybe one day we'll just have a whiskey tasting party, and we'll all get together and we can comment on it on the show. I'll send some to Pierre, and Pierre, is Thursday your day off?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
During football season, it is, yes.
Okay, good deal. So I'll make sure we get some of this to you, and we can play this game together next time. So
you know that I'm getting married next year, and I was already immediately when you said whiskey tasting, I was like, oh, that would be a good outing for a bachelor party idea. That would be terrific.
Yeah, Pierre, I just went on a guys trip a couple weeks ago, and I got to tell you, the 44-year-old guys trip is awesome. It's amazing. And really, I think you're owed quite the bachelor party, sir. So
I have to be honest, I'm living in a little bit of fear of what is ahead of me, that these yahoos that have been my good friends for over 20 years, what they're planning. I'm living in a little bit of fear of what may be ahead of me next year. Here's
the good news for you, Pierre. They don't have the energy.
Yeah. That's true.
There's gonna
now, a couple of them. Yeah.
There's gonna be one thing that you try to do, and you might do for like half an hour, that is like, let's do this like we did back in the day.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be like, hey, where's Danny? And he's like, oh, he's already calling an Uber to take us to the sports bar. He really wants to watch that Kings game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and then you're going to be like, you know what? So do I. I really do.
I mean, that would be okay with me, to be honest. I'd be okay with it.
You're going to have that moment where you're like, for 30 minutes, maybe an hour if you're lucky, you're going to be like, I'm 22 again. And then somebody, especially, it'll definitely be one of the guys with kids. It will definitely be one of the guys with kids that's like, hey, there's like a really cool brewery like right around the corner. It's like super quiet in there. And you're gonna be like, oh really? Yeah. And I think they're showing that game that we want to watch. And you're like, oh great, yeah. No, I already went in. Like, Danny's in there getting jalapeno poppers right now. And you're like,
that sounds about right.
Yeah. Tell him to get one app of everything. We'll just share them.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrific idea. Yeah, we can go halvesies. Yeah.
Now, doesn't that sound better than a loud place?
Absolutely.
Yes, 100%. It does.
I like to get my sleep. I do. So, I like to be well rested for days like that.
So what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen is you're going to get to the loud place. You're going to realize like this was never a good idea ever.
No.
And when you made fun of like your one or two friends that used to be like, yeah, we're just going to chill at the brewery and play trivia. You're going to be like, you know what? They really had it on lock back when we were 22 and we were stupid. We wasted a lot of money and they were getting half price apps all night long.
Truer words never spoken. No doubt.
Half price apps, dollar wells. They were getting that playing trivia, and you were, you're in the club going like, so you're from Detroit. I've never been there.
Yeah. And would you like to come to our table where we bought $1,000 worth of alcohol that's really only valued at $300?
No, I don't want a shot. No, it's I don't know. Okay, fine.
Great. Yeah. I hate Detroit.
Oh, goodness. Those your friends? Like my friends are over here. They're not creepy.
Right, at all.
Yeah, no. Life's different. All right. So as we talk about the passenger time, let's segue into our topic about Mack Brown. He is going to be 74 next year, which is just, older in general. And it's very old for a college football coach, especially nowadays, where they make so much money.
What did you say? 74?
He's going to be 74 next year, yeah.
Okay.
So he's 73 right now, so 74 in 2025. So 74. And look, I hope that I'm as spry and good at my job at 74 as Mack Brown is now.
Definitely.
But given the last couple of years there, is Mack Brown really the best guy to be leading that program, or should he retire?
That's an excellent question. I struggle with this because I don't like to tell people, especially people who are in the twilight of their years, what to do with their time or what they should be doing. Even though in my mind, I'm thinking when I'm 74, the last thing I want to be doing, Paul, is working. That is the last thing I want to be doing. However, despite what I feel about some people, when they, when they have the opportunity to bow out gracefully in their time, they've had their time, they've gotten a little older in age, even though, like you said, I don't disagree that Mack Brown is still spry, could probably still do the job, just like there are probably some broadcasters out there who are still working at 74, who probably should have bowed out a long time ago and bowed out gracefully to let some of the up-and-comers come up and have their opportunity. But in terms of this context and this question, I think it is time for Mack Brown to walk away, because especially if you're the AD and you're looking at the situation right now, you probably already had a plan in place for when he was going to go, when you thought he was going to go at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Now you're stuck with a little bit for another year, and you've seen the results over the last handful of years, which aren't bad. It's not bad by any means, but at the same time, it's an arms race now in the world of college football. So you want to have a plan in place with a guy who can take your program to the next level for not just the next 2 years, but for 5 to hopefully 10 years to come. And that's really hard to identify the right guy for those type of situations. But if I'm North Carolina, we love you, Mack, but I don't love this decision for you to come back.
Yeah, and look, I can't sit here and be hypocritical in that every conversation I've had over the last 18 months about who should be our president starts and ends with, like, why are there 70-year-old men doing this? Like, shouldn't we be kind to our 70-year-old men? However you feel about the 70-year-old man whose corner you were in. This was just about, look, if I'm too young to run the country when I'm 35, or when I'm 34, I have to wait till I'm 35. Then I might be probably in most cases too old to do it when I'm in my 70s. So I like a nice age, like sitting on the Supreme Court. Like, how many old judges do we have to have? So I'm not going to not apply that same logic to a college football coach. Look, I've been complaining about Jerry Jones all year, and part of the problem is that he was always kind of nuts, but now he's in the old and nuts phase. And that one is maybe you shouldn't be running the most valuable sports franchise in the world. Right. Just saying, enjoy your golden years. Don't take big jobs. You've already especially a guy like Mack Brown. Believe me, he ain't hurting. No,
God,
he's not. He's not doing this to keep putting chow on the table. I mean, even in a guy I still look at Nick Saban now, and I think to myself, why did you go into broadcasting? You're 70 years old. Mm-hmm. You're the most decorated college football coach of the last generation. What are you doing still working? Why? I know the game is a part of your life, and it's been a part of your life since you were an adolescent. I fully understand it. But at the same time, too, it's like, why? What are you doing? Are you hurting for money? You're not. I know that you're not. So what do you gain out of this? Yeah, I know, and I get part of it is it's hard to admit that you have to go and not do anything. My father struggled with being retired.
Yeah.
It took of the 20 years he was retired, 15 of them were Dad, just be retired. You were so successful. Yeah. He's yeah, but I gotta, he was well, I gotta do something. I gotta feel it. Go do whatever you want to do. None of us are sitting here telling you what you should or should not do, as long as you're not going to. He tried to buy a motorcycle one time, and we had to have a buddy of his from the VA be Pete, you don't need a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And he had actually had the guy come and bring it out, and my dad got on it and rode it in the driveway before he almost fell off. And we're
yeah.
Some dreams you don't get to have.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Don't I know it?
Yeah. I'm really glad. I'm not really glad, but I do think if he had been alive when Yellowstone came out, he would have bought a ranch, because he'd be this is what I've always wanted. Yeah. And you're okay, please don't buy a ranch. Like he wanted to buy one, and I was like, listen, one day you're gonna not be here, Dad. And I don't want to run a ranch. I don't know anything about running a ranch. Then I'm going to have to sell this ranch, and I hope it's going to be profitable, but I don't know the business. So, like, somebody's going to be like, hey, give me all these cows. And I'll be like, how much is a cow? And they'll be like,
right.
$6 per cow. I'm like, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah.
So, like I said, at the risk of sounding hypocritical myself, there's a reason why the joke goes, you know what the number one killer of all old people is, right? Retirement.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why there's a joke out there, because when you lose motivation and you lose steam, then I think, not to sound morbid about it, but I think you kind of think to yourself, well, I guess I'll just die now. I guess it's like more acceptable to I guess this is it. I got nothing else to do. So I don't want to keep people from doing things like that, whether it's coach college football or buy a motorcycle for some reason, join a motorcycle gang at 70 or 75. Why not? But there's context to everything. Yeah. And there's businesses that are bigger than you, even no matter how decorated you are. And I hate to say it, the world moves on. The institutions move on without you. At some point, they will move on without you. And they have to think of the long-term plan for their institutions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let me see. Let me read who said it. I think it was Clint Moses who said, less talking, more drinking. So without further ado, after this break, Pierre is going to read.
I've got some.
Yes, he's going to read some sports facts about my favorite teams to me. And then we're going to see how long before I pop the top off this bottle and pour it into my Key Rock cup, thanks to retired stockbroker. And we'll see. Jack is also going to help me sample the whiskey.
Yeah, I'm going to get some before the segment starts.
Well, I wanted to have the dramatic open and pour. Well, we'll do it. We'll do it your way. You're producing. You're doing a great job. You've earned a reward. So when we come back, drinky from 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit from Vail, Colorado. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
Fantasy Sports EVO, the next evolution of daily fantasy sports. Tired of traditional fantasy sports where you spend hours upon hours studying individual players? EVO's unique team-based platform makes it easier than ever for all sports fans to play. No need to know individual players. Just choose your contest, select your teams, and enjoy the game. Whether you access our website from a desktop, mobile device, or the app, the experience is the same. EVO is for all sports fans. Join Fantasy Sports EVO and experience the evolution.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Okay. Welcome back. Thanks to 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit for now being a sponsor of the show. And I feel like they've gotten a nice commercial for the first rattle out. We're about to, I've never had it before, so this will be my first time tasting it. So we'll get a nice, authentic reaction. Jack has his little bit over there. So, see, there he is.
Fantastic.
Okay. So, Pierre.
Yes.
You were going to read sad sports facts about my teams. I don't know what these I probably would know some of them. But I have not spent any time thinking about these specific things today. I gave you a little homework assignment. You did it. Right. And we're going to see how many you can say before I open the bottle, pour some in here, and drink it to end the show.
Before I start, because these sports facts surround, I want the audience to know that these facts surround three teams: Florida State football, the Boston Red Sox, and the Dallas Cowboys, just so we all know. Now that we know this, I'm going to give you the option. If you want the option, you can decline if you want. Was there a specific team that you wanted me to start with? Should I start?
No.
Just
make him sad.
Just go ahead and make me sad. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I I'll start in that case. I'm going to start with Florida State, and I'm going to start with actually something that actually isn't all that terrible. Here's one. There's going to be one piece of good news in this whole segment, and this is it right here. Florida State, as of right now, I've checked one book at least. They're a 33.5 point favorite over Charles Southern this weekend. Now that is cause for celebration, I would say. But
yes.
On the other
they
hand,
don't cover.
Yeah, they actually. I'm thinking they might not cover that.
They're not going to cover. Look, they've not scored 33 points in a game all year. They're not going to cover that spread.
Which leads me to item number 1 with Florida State. I actually had it as item number 3, but that's a perfect segue. Florida State has scored 147 points in 10 games this season. Compare that to the University of Florida, 280. Compare that to the University of Miami, 450. 14.7 points a game through the season offensively for Florida State. Just woo-wee, that would cause me to drink. Item number 2 with Florida State, a minus 14 turnover ratio. You know you got to love that. That'll kill you every single time. But even more to the point, 3 quarterbacks have thrown passes for Florida State this season. Each and every one of them has more interceptions than touchdown passes. The highest number of touchdown passes thrown by a Florida State quarterback this season in total, 4. That's the highest amount of touchdown passes thrown by a Florida State quarterback accumulated through 10 games. Finally, with Florida State, they are off to their worst start since 1975. Only twice has Florida State finished a season with 1 or fewer wins. They still have a chance to do that. I don't know if I love their chances facing Georgia Southern. You know, they probably will win that game, may not
Charleston
cover.
Southern. They'd lose to
Charleston
Georgia
Southern.
Southern.
My bad, not Georgia Southern. Charleston Southern. 1975, almost 50 years since we've seen this poor of a performance from Florida State.
How Paul didn't drink on the points scored compared to other Power 5 Florida schools, I do not know.
Okay, I'm just trying to make it at least to the top of the third team.
Did you have the UCF points scored this year in there?
I did not. You know what? I didn't tally UCF.
I'll look it up.
I didn't tally UCF, but I thought Florida and Miami would stick in Paul's craw a lot more. So I mean that's where I went for. But
look, it's in the craw. It's in the craw for sure.
Yeah, he's got his hand on it. He's thinking about it. Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
UCF
Jack.
has scored 215 points this year.
Okay.
And they've had a really abysmal season themselves. Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna save the Dallas Cowboys for last.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Please do. Give me a chance to enter the next show sober.
The Boston Red Sox had $190 million payroll. How many wins did that buy him this year, Paul? Do you know? You probably don't.
Less than 90. I know that.
That is correct. In fact, it was only good enough for 81.
Yeah.
81 and 81 with $190 million payroll, which includes Trevor Story. Now, granted, injuries are part of the game. We understand this. Doesn't make it any less frustrating in my mind. Trevor Story is your highest paid member of the Boston Red Sox at $22.5 million. You want to know how many at-bats he had this season?
Okay.
Less than 200.
That's correct. Would you like to keep going?
150.
94 total at-bats in 26 games played for Trevor Story.
Oh, my God, Paul.
94 at-bats for Trevor Story. Woof.
Woo.
The Boston Red Sox had also missed the playoffs for the third straight season.
Yeah.
Longest streak, actually, since 2009, when they went from 2009 to 2013 without making the playoffs. Third straight season for the Boston Red Sox to miss the postseason. But, I mean, that Trevor Story one, when I saw that, yikes. 94 at-bats in 26 games, and you get paid $22.5 million.
Yeah, if you really want me to, down this whole thing, try to do the math on how many games he's played in the 3 full seasons.
Right.
They've been paying him that money, which is probably not a full 162 yet.
Right. No. I can't imagine that it is. But that's really all I came up with the Boston Red Sox, because we have plenty to talk about here with the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Would you like to venture a guess? You probably know this. I'm sure it's probably been repeated a million times already down in Texas, but it bears mentioning. Do you know the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a home game?
It was last year.
Correct.
They were undefeated. So they were undefeated at home last season until the playoff game against the Packers, who's
correct.
Jack's team. So it's been since 2023, maybe mid-December 2023.
You're very close. Very close. December 30th, 2023.
Okay, late December. Okay.
December 30th, 2023, a 20-19 win over the Lions. It's been nearly a full calendar year since the Dallas Cowboys won a game at home. At home. Jerry loves that. Jerry's just sitting in the owner's suite thinking to himself, oh boy,
all right.
this palace.
I have a feeling the next one's going to get me.
So the average margin of defeat, the Cowboys have lost 7 games this season. The average margin of defeat is 18 points a game. Nearly 3 touchdowns. Nearly 3 touchdowns. When you're bad, you lose bad. You lose bad. That one, I don't love that one.
Okay.
I got 2 more.
He's moving that bottle a lot closer.
All right.
Rico Dowdle had the highest rushing production of the season, midway through the season so far, with 87 yards rushing. The Cowboys are 31st in the NFL in rushing. The only team that is worse, the Las Vegas Raiders. That's the only team that is worse running the ball. They haven't had a 100-yard rusher all season long. And finally, yes, please, you wanted to say something.
I will say, that is all tragic.
Yes.
But this is
good stuff.
It is smooth.
Is it?
This, oh my gosh. This is like a curling stone. It's just, unbelievable. Look, they're in Vail, Colorado skiing. This is like luge.
Makes me want to sit by the fireplace and watch some football. Not the Cowboys or the Seminoles, but some good football.
It's very so. Like honestly, like if I was in Vail drinking this right now, looking at snow-covered mountains, I'd be sitting in a hot tub.
And he might be able to forget about his terrible sports teams.
Yeah, it was a heavy pour, so I'm gonna have a nice little buzz kicking before 3:00. So, give me your last fact because I feel like I'm gonna have to take another sip.
The last fact, I will admit, I feel like it's a little bit of a dick move, but this is more of a self-indulgent thing because I was screaming this from the rooftops. I've been saying it for a long time. The fact of the matter is the Dallas Cowboys signed Dak Prescott to a 4-year, $240 million extension. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem with that. Even despite the numbers that he put up last year, Dak Prescott's not a good quarterback. Dak Prescott is not a quarterback that's going to get you anywhere in the NFL. And now you're on the hook for another 4 years at $240 million when you're trying to construct a team to compete in the NFC. Where do you think that money's going to go? Do you think Micah Parsons is going to get himself a cut of that money now that Dak Prescott's getting paid $240 million?
I think he is. It's all going to be invested in CD, Dak, and Micah.
There you have it. You got 3 players to get you to the Super Bowl. How's that going to turn out?
Oh,
Pierre, in your research, did you come across any stats about other teams winning more games in AT&T Stadium this year than the Dallas Cowboys?
That part I have not, but I do know for a fact that Jake Paul has more victories at AT&T Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys this year. That part I do know.
I think that the Cowboys will not be able to surpass the U.S. men's national soccer team in victories in the stadium this year. I think they have 3, and the Cowboys have 3 games left.
The very powerful and World Cup competent U.S. men's national team.
Yes. Yeah.
We're good at soccer in America.
The world's game
has
has
just a ploy to get you to say it, Paul.
Yeah, there you have it. The world's game has officially surpassed America's team. I mean, we've been conquered.
You know what? The most exciting thing to happen in AT&T Stadium all year was a YouTuber beat the crap out of Mike Tyson. Or not really.
That was not exciting at all.
I mean,
that was on par with the Cowboys level of excitement.
It was. Honestly, I'm pretty sure that had they opened the roof that night, that's what they should have opened the roof.
What's been more disappointing, that fight or the Cowboys?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think the answer for me is the Cowboys, because by the end of the fight, I did kind of have a self-reflective moment. And I thought to myself, well, what did I really expect? Like, what should I have really been expecting? And by the third round, when Jake Paul threw a couple of jabs at Mike that looked like it wobbled him a little bit, and then you saw Jake kind of relax his shoulders back a little, and I was like, oh, there's a business decision right there. Okay, I just saw it in front of my face. So that's
Tyson,
the matter.
The only part of the fight I did like was Tyson did land one square on his jaw, and Jake Paul thought, I'm really glad that he's 50. Like, the thought was like, man, I'm really glad he's 58, because 28-year-old Mike Tyson would have just killed me.
Oh,
he
yeah,
would have just
100%.
that one little punch he had left in him was just lethal. I just know, like, Amanda wanted to watch the fight, which I was like, all right, sure, you know.
Yeah.
And the fight, the women's fight before it was really exciting. It was a really good fight. You know,
it was.
A lot of punches thrown, a lot of punches landed. Then it was the exact opposite. It was not only not a women's fight, it was a men's fight. It wasn't anybody who's ever going to win a belt anymore. Yeah. Like, it wasn't a title match. And there were very few punches thrown or landed in the 20 minutes of actual action that we had through those 8 or 16 minutes of fighting in 8 rounds. Yeah. And Roy Jones Jr. said, I don't like Mike's legs. And she's like, well, what's the matter with his legs? I Googled Mike Tyson 1988 and just showed her the picture and like, all right, are those his legs anymore? And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah.
You could have just said they're not moving.
I think that nails it right there. I mean, what a disastrous night for Netflix. The broadcast, the streaming issues were terrible. The broadcast team was awful. It just, the play-by-play guy, I don't remember his name, forgive me, he was fine. But why are we having Rosie Perez on the broadcast? Because she's from Brooklyn, as if that qualifies her to talk about this fight just because she knows Mike Tyson's from Brooklyn. How many times did she say, I'm from Brooklyn? Oh, okay.
Now, she knew way more about boxing than I ever expected Rosie Perez to know. Yeah. But all I could hear the whole time was like, Billy, you're so stupid. Billy, you're so stupid. And it's like, welcome in. Like the announcer was way over the top, and he was just like, welcome in. With me is multi-time, champion Roy Jones Jr., one of the greatest of all time, and star of White Men Can't Jump. Rosie Perez.
Natural transition, of course. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. Look, if you're she's from Brooks. She knew a lot about boxing. I'm not sure how much she brought to it. Other than the star power of it, and then they're like, all right, let's go to our sideline reporters, Cedric the Entertainer, everybody.
I know a lot about the Miami Dolphins. What do you think I would bring to the broadcast? A lot of cursing, a lot of jeering, a lot of cursing, a lot of turning people off listening to the broadcast. That's what I would bring.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, this is great. I am going to finish this wee nip of whiskey I'm going to have.
I'm very jealous of you right now.
I've gone Irish for a second. Look, this is a game that we're going to play again. We're going to leave this bottle right here in the studio, and we're going to play this game again. I'm going to get Pierre something so he can play alongside, because I got to get you back for this.
Yes, yeah.
I will just do Miami Dolphins facts. I'm not even going to go into the Kings. I'll save that for another time. I'll just go Miami Dolphins facts. You might go just grab a beer right now.
Mike Daniel is 911 on speed dial for his quarterback.
I got a bottle of Yamazaki whiskey sitting right over there.
Yeah.
But we will definitely do it with yours 100%.
No, but 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit. This is the bourbon, and this is, I didn't know what to expect when I took a sip because I've never had it before. It is so good and so smooth. My gosh, if you're a bourbon fan, go to the link that I put up in the chat and give it a little clicky and order it. It'll be in your house in about a week.
Hold it up for the folks.
Right there. 10th Mountain. Check them out. Then look, go to the website. Like if you're not a bourbon guy, if you're a rye guy, if you're a single malt, if you're a moonshine person, if you're all of it like me, then go and do it. Thank you so much for watching the show today. I appreciate it whenever you do. Please, if you do get a chance, like, I know that YouTubers do this, but like, subscribe, share with your friends. We're trying to get especially the new Triple Option channel out there. Follow us on Twitter, whatever. I don't know. I would tell you what's going to come on the show later on. I'll just tell you Nicole Auerbach, Mickey Spagnola, Brian Howell, who covers Colorado, one of the big games in the Big 12 this week. And cheers, everybody. This is the Triple Option.